with me bell-bottom trousers and me brass buckle belt and me braces embroidered all around, with me moleskin waistcoat and me fancy belt. It's an outfit that suits me to the ground. Me mate's in the cabin, she's brewing up the tea, with a long white apron way below her knee. She's got her best bonnet on because it's her birthday as we go moving up the carts. She's got her best bonnet on because it's her birthday as we go moving up the carts. I've travelled up the junction for the best part of my life, and I will do for the rest of it. With sugar up to Bourneville, or wheat for town folks' bread, or back with coal from Wyking Pit. Me mates always helped me since the day that we was wed. We've had 3 children in our crossbed. We've been married now for 40 years and never a crossword said as we go moving up the cards. We've been married now for 40 years.
We left Reno on Monday the 6th of April, flew over to San Francisco on United, and then caught a Virgin Atlantic flight to Heathrow. We spent a few days at Olive and Lynn's before picking Ursula up at her new home base at Fenny Compton on the Oxford Canal. I think Olive and Lynn joined us for the weekend, and the reason I say I think is because I'm doing this slideshow 9 years after the trip. Yvonne and Alex left Reno on Monday the 13th and flew Delta Airlines to Gatwick. Jeff, that's Lynn's son, met them at the airport on Tuesday morning and drove them up to Napton Bridge, where they started their 17-day cruise on narrowboat Ursula. Jeff had no problems finding us, and after the gear was stowed away, we got underway. Obviously it wasn't going to take Alex long to get his tiller rating. The weather didn't look too promising as we made our way around the windmill at Napton. In fact, it started to snow. I mean really snow. I believe we tied up for the night at the Napton Bottom Lock moorings and went to the Folly Pie pub for dinner. This is what it looked like when we woke up on Wednesday morning. Yvonne doesn't look too happy as she peers out through the front door. After breakfast, it was time to take on the Napton flight with its 6 locks. These woolies didn't go too much on this spring weather. Actually, it wasn't too bad if you wrapped up nice and warm. And the snow sure did make the countryside look like it was Christmas all over again. I'm not going to try and remember where we moored every night, but I think on Wednesday night we did tie up near the ladder bridge. This is approaching Fenny Compton Tunnel. When this part of the canal was built in 1778, it was a 1,000-yard tunnel. But in time it became unsafe and caused bottlenecks, so they took the top of the tunnel off. And look who's taken us through. Yvonne has no problem squeezing under Boundary Lift Bridge. Now these woolies look a lot happier than those at the top of the Napton flight. We walked into the village of Clayton and visited Andrew Fox's Bygone Museum. It was very interesting, and Alex really liked being allowed to explore all the farm equipment. That's including this steamroller. Andrew was very surprised that Pat knew what this bowl was for. Here's a clue: her dad was a dairyman. By the way, Yvonne, explain to us again how you use a cricket bat. This seesaw was in the playground that's located just outside the village. Time to get on the move again. We moored up in Banbury to get a few groceries and plant a future apricot tree. We'll do some sightseeing on our way back. Here's Yvonne opening Fox's lift bridge for me. And here I am coming out of Nell Lock and getting ready to go under the very low Nell Bridge. All the locks on the Oxford are single wide with one exception, Arno Weir Lock. The River Cherwell actually flows across the canal just before this lock, and it can get very interesting and dangerous if the river is running fast. Making a phone call from the village of Lower Hayford. Over the next 9 years there will be lots of similar shots taken in this booth. Any idea where this shot was taken, Alex? I can't place it. This is Simon Fendon and his wife Sally and their 2 children, Beulah Alice, who's 4, and Oscar Jude, who's 5 months old. We met them for lunch at the Rock of Gibraltar and they cruised with us to Thrupp. This is the ornate Isis Bridge, the last bridge on the Oxford Canal. Our plan was to do some cruising on the River Thames, but it was in spate. That means it was flooded. So we made a minor change. We did go through Isis Lock into Sheepwash Channel. We winded Ursula. That means we turned her around in canal talk, and then headed back up the South Oxford. On our return journey we visited the boat at Thrupp. Good morning, Alex. Now we're cruising through Kirtlington Woods. We moored up at Kirtlington Quarry. This became one of our favourite mooring spots on the Oxford. We went for a walk around the woods and through the old quarry site. The sun was out and the rapeseed was in full colour as we cruised up the Oxford. This is the tree house near Lower Hayford. The ragdoll characters Rosie and Jim are popular with children in the UK. There's a television series about them. Anyway, Rosie and Jim travelled the canals in their narrowboat Ragdoll. I remember seeing this boat in 1993. It was all decked out with Rosie and Jim dolls and in pristine condition. Our Buckby can just made it back through Nell Bridge. And here we are at the famous Banbury Cross. Besides its cross, Banbury is also famous for its cakes. This bakery also has some very good Cornish pasties. Alex is showing us how high the water came in the recent floods, and they were pretty bad. They were actually above the bottom of this board. Our next stop was the village of Cropperty. There will be quite a few more shots of these thatched cottages over the years. Here's Mama Swan sitting on her nest. And here's Papa Swan getting a handout from Alex. Returning underneath Boundary Lift Bridge. By now we've reached Wigram's Turn, taking a left onto the Grand Union Canal and locking down the Stockton flight. Notice these are double wide locks. Yvonne got her daily exercise working this flight. What's this rope for, Papa? Now I know what it's for. It's to stop the boat banging about in the lock. Alex is getting ready to let the water out of the lock by opening the candlestick paddle gear. After all that hard work, it was time to pull over for a pint at the Blue Lias. Hurry up, Papa. I'm thirsty. Cheers, Papa. There's nothing like a good old pint of English beer. Time for a group photo before we get underway. I'm not sure where this was taken. Somewhere between Itchington and Warwick, I'd guess. It's 10:15 on Saturday, April the 25th, and we're going to spend the day at Warwick Castle. Let's have another group shot before we leave the castle. That's the River Avon below us. Before leaving Warwick, we had a walk around some of the historic areas. These buildings are known as Lord Leicester's Hospital, or just Lord Leicester. They date from the 14th century. 9 years from now, we won't have the play act to look like this. One of our overnight moorings on the Grand Union. Back on the Oxford Canal at Braunston's Turnover Bridge. And then under one of the ornate Horsley ironwork bridges that were built in 1830. After taking a right turn at Braunston Junction, we went through the 2,042-yard long Braunston Tunnel. This was built in 1796. This was taken either just before or just after we went up the Watford staircase on the Leicester section of the Grand Union. We're just coming to the end of the 1,528-yard long Crick tunnel. I'm guessing this is the winding hole just north of the tunnel and where we started to make our return journey. An evening shot of our overnight mooring on the Leicester section of the Grand Union. Locking down the four-lock Watford staircase. We stopped at the staircase for a while and watched this hotel buddy boat come down. Okay, we must have cruised through Braunston and taken a right turn up the North Oxford, winded and then headed back. This is definitely Braunston Church, taken heading south just before reaching Braunston Junction. Alex does a good job of tying us off for the night. My guess is this is on the bend just before the water point near the Folly Piper. Before we get to the end of our trip, let's have a quick look around the inside of Narrowboat Ursula. This is the saloon with its cosy solid fuel stove. This is the dining area. We can either have this small table up or we've got a larger rectangular one. This is the galley, and look who's doing all the work. There's a permanent double bed at the rear of the boat, and the dining area also converts into a double bed. Well, it's most likely Thursday the 30th of April as we start to make our way up the Napton flight for the second time. I've always thought that this was a stable for the towing horses, but why does it have a chimney? Alex does a great job of taking us into Napton Top Lock. We have a visitor on our last morning. Okay, Alex, are you ready to take Ursula to her home at Fenny Compton? Yes, I am. Narrowboat Ursula is home safe and sound. A great trip that leaves us with lots of fun memories. Len picked us up at the marina and drove us back to Biggin Hill. Yvonne and Alex stayed over for the weekend and returned home on the 4th of May. We stayed a couple more days and returned home on the 6th. I have no idea where this photo was taken. Was it Braunston, Croppedy, or maybe Willoughby?